My name is Constance, and this is Cruelty-Free Musings. Welcome back to my channel and to a Beautiful Things budget update. I'm going to be talking about what I spent in the month of September, what I spent it on, a little bit of what I bought. And then we'll be getting into the changes for my rules as a result of what happened in September. So let's get into it. To begin, in September, I tracked my spending all throughout September. I wrote everything down in my notebook. I have a very elegant spread. It's a bunch of numbers scrawled in random places. It's marginally organized. But I kept track of my spending in September, and the number that I came up with at the end of the month was that I had spent $188.36 plus a gift card that I had, plus the payout from my Ebates, which I had. Well, that adds up to, so I had $71.21, and then I had $188.36 in expenditures. On top of that amount, so the total that I spent, according to my numbers and what I tracked and wrote down in the month of September, is $259.57. Well, this is pretty accurate, sort of. So Bear and I had a conversation about money, as married people do. It's a requirement. You have to talk about money. Or you can fight about money, like up to you. But we had a conversation about money and how there are some major expenses coming up, and maybe it would be good to pare things back a little bit. And we looked at how much exactly I have been spending. And it doesn't look excessive based on the modified rules that I have put in place for October and following, but it was not something that I was tracking using my prior rules. So I wanted to modify my rules to make them track what I actually am spending on a little bit better. Alright, so let's talk about what I bought in September. It looks like I placed 4 orders that are tracked in my beauty budget planning area. Now I bought more things than that, and that is why I'm expanding my definitions, but I'm only going to talk about the things that I wrote down because it's what I wrote down. Like, the other things are on my phone, and I would have to turn off the recording and do research, and I'm not going to. So the first thing that I ordered in September was, alright, so the logic was I need an SPF lip balm. Genuine hole in my collection, in my SPF things. Normal sunscreen lotions don't adhere to your lips properly, And if you get something that's specific for lips, then your lips will be protected from UV. And that's pretty relevant, I would say. So I got, so that was the rationale for this first order. This was on the 3rd of September, something like that. So I was like, okay, I need an SPF lip balm. I got a Sunbum one that's mineral, and it has fragrance in it because it's hard to find cruelty-free SPF anything without fragrance. Oh, it's difficult to find SPF skincare things without fragrance. It's weird, you'd think. But anyway, I got a Sunbum SPF lip balm, which I'm fine with. It's, you know, mineral. I'm not in love with it or anything, but it's fine. It's functional. And I got a new top coat because my top coat died. It was stringy and drying out and not good. And I got a new nail polish remover because I was like, I'm getting low on my nail polish remover. And I got a set of ABH mini lipsticks. There are 4 of them. I just grabbed 2. And a couple of Milani lip liners, because I was like, I want a couple more dark lip liners to add definition to lighter lip colors. And also I want a couple that are closer to my lip color so that I can define my lips if I'm wearing lip balm or something. I have realized in early September that I don't have a lot of lip colors that are really close to my actual lip color. I also got this Milani Keep It Full, Nourishing Lip Plumper in Soft Rose, which is a very opaque mauve gloss, and I might have picked up a couple of other things that are slipping my mind at this exact moment. But that's the majority of it. So I got, you know, it was a mix of things, of frivolities, like straight frivolities. Oh yes, I also got this NYX foundation Born to Glow, which is apparently a close dupe to the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow, but cruelty-free. I cannot testify because I have not tried any L'Oreal foundation products because they all look too dark for me. But NYX has a wider range of colors for some things. For their recent foundation releases, they have a wider range of colors. So whenever they come out with something, you know, a base product that I think I like, I'm like, ooh, does that come in my color? And generally it does. So, and then right in that same time frame, you know, the first week and a half of September, I also bought a face wash, a second cleanse to take off my oil cleanser, which is a necessary step in my routine, and it was replacing a face wash that I was about to use out, and a sunscreen from iHerb. And I don't like the sunscreen that I got at all. I bought sunscreen at 3 different points in the month of September, and it's because I was looking for a reapplication sunscreen because, you know, I'm being indoctrinated by Dr. Dre. She's like, reapply, every 2 hours. Even if you work in an office, reapply twice a day. So put on your initial layer of sunscreen and then put on sunscreen, put sunscreen on the exposed parts of your body again after, twice more in the day, especially like right before you're going to be exposed to sun. For example, you're going to be outside driving and walking from your car to your office, for example, or from your bed to leave the office and go to your car for lunch or for errands after work. So I wanted a reapplication sunscreen that would apply nicely over makeup, and I have found that all of the sunscreens that I have tried have actually applied nicely over makeup. But I don't like the feeling pretty much of any of them over makeup, except for my tried and true Aaron's Faces peptide sunscreen, which has the disadvantage of I'm too attached to it. I don't want to use it as a reapplication sunscreen because then I'll use it up faster. So yeah. Well, anyway, so iHerb order. I got a fitness tracker. It acts as a watch and a step counter and a heart rate monitor. Apparently my heart rate right now is 71, but these fitness tracker things are pretty inaccurate as far as your heart rate. But the step counter is pretty good, and that's what I got it for. It's so that if I am wearing, so I had my fitness app on my phone tracking my steps. I got my fitness tracker because I wanted to be able to wear pants without pockets, because that's a girl thing, that a lot of clothing has no pockets for reasons. And I wanted to still be able to track my steps without having to carry my phone in my hand. Like leave my phone in my purse at my desk, but still be able to track my steps. It's working really well for that. And at the same time that I bought that fitness tracker, I also bought a sunscreen because I had decided that I didn't like the sunscreen that I bought from iHerb, and I was like, let's try again from Amazon this time. This one seems good. And it is. It's a better reapplication sunscreen than base sunscreen. It's really, I have the MD Solar Sciences mineral sunscreen, and it acts like it's very silicone, and it acts like a silicone pore filler, like touch-up product if you're smushing it gently over makeup. So it's good as a reapplication sunscreen, but it's so silicone that if you put it underneath makeup, it'll move the makeup around. Like the foundations that I have never had a problem with transferring before suddenly have a problem transferring on top of that sunscreen. And like I get massive fingerprints from like gently touching my face. So that one is in my purse currently as my reapplication sunscreen. And I have almost used up the one from iHerb because I started using it as a reapplication sunscreen and then was like, nah, this is terrible. You'll hear about it when it shows up in my empties. But then once I decided that I didn't like it as a reapplication sunscreen, I started using it as a base layer sunscreen for arms, hands, chest, neck, you know, exposed skin areas that are not my face and don't have makeup on them, because it would not have sat nicely under makeup. Then I made a 21 Days of Beauty purchase, which was the least exciting 21 days of 21 Days of Beauty purchase ever. The least. I promise you. It was 3 eyeliners and 2 concealers. That was it. But since I'm talking about it, I will go ahead and show you. I bought this concealer. This is the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. I tried this out in a sample pack in the color Swan. This is the color Cloud. And I decided that the color Swan is too yellow and too light and too brightening on me. So I went with the even lighter Cloud, which is rosy toned and will blend with my skin better. I haven't extensively worn it yet. I have worn it some. But I am unclear yet on whether I would be okay with wearing it as my only coverage product on its own. And then I also got a replacement for the ColourPop No Filter Concealer in Fair 04 because it's such a good color match for me. And it's really difficult for people of my skin tone or people at the extremes in general to find good matches for them color-wise. So this being, and the experience of this sunscreen, this concealer, which is in my project pan, you know, I rebought it because this is in my project pan and I realized what a good color it is for me. But also the experience of having this in my project pan and then rebuying it. Look, they're different colors. Can you see that? Maybe not. But anyway, this one changes color over its shelf life. The shelf life is only 6 months. So this I have not opened yet. I don't plan to open it until I intend to use it up within the next 6 months, because apparently it dies. But I really like the shade match and I find it a very reliable concealer, so I decided to repurchase that. And then I bought 3 Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On eye pencils because I had no green and no brown eyeliners, and those colors are colors that I wear on my eyes a lot. So I was like, why do I have a blue eyeliner but not a green eyeliner when I never wear blue? Because my dark circles under my eyes are really blue, and if blue shadow falls out onto my under eyes, they look extremely blue, and I'm not here for it. So I never wear blue eyeshadow, or very rarely, but I wear green eyeshadow all the time. So let's pick up a couple of green eyeliners and a brown eyeliner for, you know, when I want a softer effect. But I still want a little bit of definition along my lash line. And they were on sale on the last day of the 21 Days of Beauty. So I picked up 3 of them for $33 versus the $66 that it would ordinarily be. So that was like the first 3 purchases. First 4. My tracking is difficult to follow, so I'm not going to try. So that was my first few purchases, and then the next purchase that I made was the next day, and I got an order from Devinah Cosmetics. So Devinah has several multichrome collections, as does every indie brand currently. And, you know, Sydney Grace, JD Glow, Cleona Cosmetics, they all have multichrome collections right now. And I was like, okay, I like Devinah. They have the same pastel plus, you know, and they have the pastel, but also the black base multichrome, which are super interesting and intense shifts. So I made a wish list like when I realized that they were going to restock on the 22nd. I was like, okay, let's plan this out. Let's make a list and let's hop on as soon as they restock and buy things super efficiently, and then I will have multichromes and I won't need to drool over the Cleona Cosmetics multichromes and be like, shipping is as much as the shadows themselves because it's from another country. Why? You know, answer, buy from Devinah Cosmetics, they're US based. So I got Pixi Stix, Swudge, Everlasting Gobstoppers, Celesta, Messier, Menelaus, Malachite, Paralucia, and Marpecia. I just reorganized my shadows yesterday, so they're not, the shadows are not together in their palette, or I would show them to you. But they are distributed throughout 4 palettes, and I'm not undoing my work of like an hour last night. It was great. I reorganized my shadows into a spectrum, and I was able to see, oh wow, I have no warm shadows basically at all. All of my warm shadows are peach shifting gold, or warm green. Like the neutral, and I think I have one warm brown single eyeshadow. Like the overload that most people experience with warm neutrals is not present in my single shadow collection. It's present in my palettes because it's difficult to buy a palette without the warm, but you know, without the warm browns, but it's just not present in my singles because I have not been attracted to warm brown shadows. Anyway, that is what I did last night. I don't have these to show to you, but maybe I have been a good YouTuber and collected a collage to place here onto the screen. Probably over here. Of the particular shadows that I bought 9 total, and I also bought a factory botched palette for $6 because I was like, I need a palette or these are just going to be without a home. So, and then, so that was my purchase on the 22nd of September from Devinah Cosmetics. And then the last thing that I bought in September that is recorded in my beauty budget was another sunscreen from Walmart because I was trying to find a base sunscreen that would go under makeup and set and not lift up my makeup and move it around to a ridiculous extent they all do it except for the Aaron's Faces sunscreen. This is what I learned in my month of trying sunscreen. I learned that the only sunscreen that I want to put on my face under makeup is the Aaron's Faces SPF 30 peptide sunscreen, because it sets and dries and it disappears. And while I do enjoy the other sunscreens that I've purchased, I would not consider them to be appropriate under makeup sunscreens. This is what I learned in September about sunscreen. All right. So, as I mentioned, I spent $188.36 out of my budget on these frivolities. The thing is, I categorized some things as not luxuries and didn't count them in my total. I didn't count the MD Solar Sciences sunscreen or the iHerb order or the SPF lip balm or the nail things as frivolities. And those things together were $66. So even by my own accounting, I spent more than $200. And let's be clear, the majority of the things that I spent extra money on over the $200 were still frivolous. Like, I bought 2 sunscreens counted as replacements, as allowed replacements. But I had sunscreen still, even for putting on my body. I had sunscreen. So like I have the Aaron's Faces, which goes on my face and is really elegant for under sunscreen. And then I had a spray sunscreen that I was able to apply to my body and worked fine for that. But I still bought 3 sunscreens. Admittedly, it was in my search to get a good reapplication sunscreen. So I sort of defined myself as having 3 different sunscreen categories. There's my face sunscreen, there's my base sunscreen for non-makeup areas, neck, chest, arms, hands, and then there's my reapplication sunscreen, which I keep in my purse. The problem with this is, with this accounting of not considering these sunscreens that I bought for reapplication, is that I could have made shift and I could have bought less sunscreen, is basically what I'm getting down to. But I didn't. My rules were too loose and I allowed myself to fudge them and to not count these sunscreen purchases, among other things, in my budget, even though they should probably belong in my budget, in my awareness of how much I'm spending. So, in an attempt to pay more attention to what I'm spending my money on, just in general, I am editing my rules for my beauty budget. Alright, so the first thing that's happening is my budget's going up. My total budget now is $400. And it includes all of the expenditures that are considered mine in the household. So like early on in, or like late in our engagement period, before Bear was fully resigned to the fact that he was getting a cat along with me when we actually got married and moved in together. He was like, okay, so you can pay for the cat. So I buy his food um, and his vet visits, and if we need to board him, I pay for all of those little expenditures. He's fully resigned to the cat now, by the way. He probably pays more attention to Nova than I do, but there was a time when he was not resigned, and a relic of that time is that I pay for Nova. And, part of that is I buy him food every, 2 months. So, that's something that has to be factored in to this larger budget. All of the general necessities are also going into this larger budget. So like I'm tracking, my contacts, my, any little thing that I consider necessary, like clothing wise, hair care, skin care, my haircuts, my chiropractor visits. Those are all expenditures that are specific to me. And I pay for them out of my own paycheck. So it's important for me to keep track of them as I am budgeting. I am still capped at $200 for luxuries. But if I need to spend more than $200 on necessary expenses, that's going to eat into my luxury budget. So like if I have a month where I don't have any necessary expenses, I bought Nova his cat food at the end of last month and I don't need a haircut and I'm set on contacts for the year and I just restocked all of my skincare. That doesn't mean that I get to spend $400 on makeup or pens or paper or, any of this stuff. I'm still capped at $200. But it can go the other way where I can spend all of my $200 on necessary expenses, like I needed to board the cat and pay his vet bill and buy contacts all in the same month. That's not happening, but if that did happen, that would be like $300 just by itself. That would probably be $400 by itself. And then I would have no money left over for frivolities that month because I had to spend all of my budget on necessary things. Clothes are also in this other category. I don't consider them a frivolity, but I want to track them so they're in that necessary expenditure column. All right, so I think that that's about everything. I did the math this morning for what I've already spent in October and my planned expenses, and I'm like, I'm almost out of money for the month. But that's how it is with a budget. You have to resign yourself sometimes to not having money left over. And it's not like we're, You know, I'm clearly not suffering in any way, you know. I have a nice house. It's just like the Dave Ramsey rule, you know? You live like no one else now, so that later on you can live like no one else. That is that is our philosophy as a married couple. So it gets to be October and we're like, okay, so we're going to spend a lot of money on presents in November and December. So let's make sure that we're spending less extraneous money right now. Because it comes from somewhere, right? It's not as strict as money doesn't grow on trees. You know, it's not as strict as we can only buy, you know, two of these three things. You know, like, it's not like we can't pay our bills, but it is like we want to maintain our current level of security while also being aware that there are large expenditures coming up in the future months. So, pulling it back on the budget. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed or learned something, or both. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you feel like, and goodbye for now.